Hello and welcome back, guys. So I'm going to continue with the Tuatha Da Danann, and we are at Belanus, Belanus, and Belladois. It has also been spelled that way too, and Bellanos. So you have Bellanos, Belanus, Bellanuos, Belladois, and Bell. They are all just Belanus. It's just different ways of saying him. Sorry. And he was a shining god. He was a sun god, and he brought purification. He definitely loved fire. Fire was the main offering. He was a healer, had very good healing powers. Vegetation, crops, abundance, science, success, prosperity, and fertility. Now, Belanus rides a chariot across the sky, or is seen on a lightning bolt with a wheel he uses as a shield. Obviously, bear in mind, names have changed through times. This is not fact, it's just, the Tuatha Da Danann as being told. Then we have Brigitte. Now, Brigitte or Brigitte is pronounced both ways because it's spelt both ways. You have B-R-I-D-G-E-T and B-R-I-D-G-E-E-T, the exalted one. She is the heart of what is known as Ireland. She's a goddess of Ireland, very much with the earth, and the earth as in H-earth. And she is definitely seen as quite powerful. She has two sisters. She is a Tuatha Da Danann because she's the daughter of Dagda. The two sisters have the same name. They are all called Brigitte. Now, some people see this as one person with three sides, and some people see her as the triple goddess, having the two sisters by her side at different ages. So it varies in how people do see Brigitte. She's all about crafts, marital arts, hearth, fire, earth itself is in the E-earth, fertility, all female arts in general. She's a protector, a healer. She particularly likes magicians, magic. She's a patron of the poets and learning and knowledge. She can be seen as a warlike figure, and generally it is said that she will watch over mothers giving birth, but she will also visit the newborn for the first few weeks, when it's born. Kalia. Kalia means old woman. She's the goddess of winter and the ruler of darkness. She comes usually late fall, and she is a creator, a harvest goddess. Now, she's seen to be depicted with bad teeth, one eye, scraggly hair, and sometimes wearing a veil. It's about a life lesson. Be kind to her and she will be kind to you. Do her wrong and she will bring you a storm. Then we have Gamulus, the god of war, believed to have been depicted with ram-like horns. Also, the boar was his symbol. It's also related to, it's associated with Mars and the sword, obviously. He's said to be quite powerful. So we have Cernunnos, and this is the god of wild hunt. All things in nature really that's wild, the forest, the hunt, anything that's wild. Again, he's a horned god and very much masculine. He represents the love, physical side of love, fertility, reincarnation, woodlands, wealth, crossroads, warriors, animals, and he is the god of the wild. Ceridwen, keeper of the cauldron, goddess of nature, brings about astrology, death, magic, herbs, knowledge, poetry, wisdom, spells, and fertility. Then we have Dagda. He is the father. He's the father god of Ireland. He is a Tuatha Da Danann. He's in a lot of Irish stories, usually of invasions and you know, fighting. Is represented by the earth element, the leader of the Tuatha Da Danann, so he's the big guy at the top. He loves magic. He has a club, a harp, and a cauldron. Diaket or Dikit, it depends. Some do pronounce it one way and some pronounce it another. Dienket is the strongest healer of the Tuatha Da Danann. Not the only one, there were others, but he is one of the strongest healers of them. So he could bring about the knowledge of medicines and healing, and it's said that the only thing he could not heal was obviously decapitation. It's a myth, you know, it's a story. And he's the one that mended Nuada's arm in war when he lost it. He gave him a metal arm. Ipana is very much a maternity, fertility type goddess. She's associated with dogs, crops, fertility, maternity, prosperity. She's healing, especially with springs of water. It's said to be very healing where she's concerned. She rules horses, said to be the breeder of horses and the protector of horses. She is also companion to the dead and often compared to Rihanna, but Rihanna is a queen and Ipana is a goddess. Aru, matron goddess of Ireland. Again, she had two sisters, is associated with the earth element. Bomba and Vada were her sisters. She was a trinity of goddesses of the Tuatha queen. Ermos, the mother of Pasca, Nim and Glor, or Glom, we pronounce it both ways. Again, a Tuatha, but also had the three daughters. So she had 3 sons and 3 daughters. She was killed in the first war on Magtois, so she didn't last. Now then, Fleesh, woodlands goddess, very much a shapeshifter of forest beasts. She was seen with beautiful long hair, which is what stood out most about her. Always seen around animals, and generally she rode a chariot pulled by deer. Now, it's also said that she was a really good healer because she herded cows. Now, there's this legend of the freckled fay cow, and it says that she had herds of magical cows, and she would bring the milk from the cows to the soldiers, and it would give them strength, and it would protect them during battle. Granus, I meant to do that with it. Granus or Graanus, 2 ways there. Very much a healer in healing springs of water associated with the water element. Now, it's also associated with Apollo, the sun god too. And Surkana was said to be one that stood next to him. The Great Father. Now, the Great Father's everywhere. You know, Lord, Creator, creation of winter, the sky, harvest, lust, regeneration. He is said to rule the land of the dead and also can be destructive, have destruction, bring destruction, very powerful destruction. And he has a temper when dealt with in the wrong way, but he also has good principles. And again, he's depicted as a horned god. The Great Mother, represented by the summer, and it's obviously the sun, the moon, mainly the moon. Love, definitely. The seas, healing, fertility and water. She's definitely seen as the most significant magical guide, like the mother finger, the index finger. She could heal, she could guide, but she could also curse, but she could bless you too, and all this was done with her magical mother finger. Then we have Herne. Again, Herne is another horn, well, depicted as a horn god anyway, but then again he's also called the Green Man. And he's all about vegetation, hunt, deer, vine, wine, common folk connection because of the way that he's seen. Lear, god of water and sea, especially sort of overseas, so the travelling of seas and the underworld. Now we have Lu, which is also written as Lugas, so it can be written like that. He was the blacksmith. He was the one that brought the skills. Also music, revenge, war, healing, prosperity, crafts, reincarnation, intuition. Very, very powerful sun god. He aided in journeys. He was very at one with science and physicians and healing. He had the spear of victory, or the invincible spear. Now this spear was hot, and it was very hot, but it became hotter when it was being used. His father was Tuatha Da Danann, so he was seen as extremely powerful. Magda, it can be Magda or Maka, depends. There's two ways here. I definitely prefer the Macha one. War goddess, also known as Mana and Manu. She represents crows, ravens. She will transform into these. Sexuality, physical force, fertility and power over men. She's the goddess of death and phantoms. She's very powerful and is seen as a sexual being in many ways. So the Morrigan, or Morrigan, is all about sovereignty and war. She is the queen of demons and phantoms. She's a shapeshifter, will be seen as a raven or a crow mainly. She is the washer at the fort, the supreme war goddess, the great white goddess, the witches, night and revenge all seem to come from the Morrigan. Now, the washer at the fort comes from soldiers telling tales that if they saw Morrigan at the fort washing armour or anything in particular, that this was a sign of their death to come, basically, in the war. Whether it was true or not, obviously, is another thing. It's just a myth. She was kind of a complex triple goddess to some, but not to everybody. That was not everybody's beliefs. Now we have Notyan, an underworld one, salmon, and the earth element, number 9, and wells are all associated with Notyan. Omnius, or Omar. Now, he was compared to Hercules quite a lot, but he had long chains through his mouth. He was very eloquent and very persuasive. He was one for cursing, and he liked to control men. We have Rihanna. Now, Rihanna is the queen of the underworld and fertility. She's a Welsh goddess, and she's represented usually by birds. Now, it's said that Rihanna had her baby stolen while the nursemaid was watching her baby, and so the nursemaid killed a puppy and rubbed the blood on Rihanna. Then Rihanna was accused of killing her own baby and was forced to stand outside of the castle in disgrace. Now, a few years later, the baby was returned. Apparently, a monster had taken it from its bed and the baby had been returned and all was well. But it's, again, it's just a story. Taliesin, the god of bards, basically. Knowledge, wisdom, poetry, music, magic and wizards. Now, the god of bards, the talisman, or Taliesin, was a minor god to start with, but become major. And he was wrote about in many, many tales. The bard would be about in so many tales. Tyrannus, the god of thunder. He holds a wheel and he represents fire because he is a very strong sun god, very, very much a fighter. Tuatha, the god of people. Tuatha was seen as the god of people because he cared for the people. He would go out of his way to help people, to connect with people. And that's the rest of the gods, goddesses read out. And the next part will be the Celtic word druid, finding or knowing the oak tree. Thank you all for listening. Blessed be.